All right, so here's another example. El Paso Zoo charges adults $27.50 to spend the day at the zoo. Okay, so some of the important information would be this, to spend the day at the zoo. Okay, so what do I know if I know this information? Well, I know that my variables, again, are going to be that x and that y. So we need to determine what's my x and what's my y. Well, if you know you're working with money, more than likely your y is going to be your total cost. So we know that our y is going to be our cost. And that our x is going to be the number of adults. Excuse my writing. This thing is hard to write with. Okay, so we are going to create our equation using these variables. So we know that y is going to give me my total cost. Well, how am I going to find out my total cost? Well, I'm going to take the number of adults, which is x, and multiply it by how much the zoo charges. So $27.50 times x. Okay, so I got the table set up. So we already identified that our x represents number of adults and our y is the total cost. So we're going to use our equation here in purple, and we're going to plug in these values of x wherever we see x to find y, our total cost. So I went over here and typed it to the side. So the first one would be for one adult, we would take the $27.50 and multiply it by 1, and that gives us the $27.50. Okay, so then we're going to do the same thing for the next value of x. $27.50 times 2 adults would get you 55. And then the last one would be for 3 adults. So we would multiply $27.50 times 3, and that would get us at 82.50. Okay, and then the last step is to identify if it's proportional or non-proportional. So since we were just multiplying for each step, we found that in in the word problem, and then in our equation, we end up just multiplying. That means that this would be an example of a proportional relationship, or we can just put the letter P.